And as you rest comfortably down on your back for just a few more moments, start to notice not only how you're feeling physically, but also how you're feeling mentally and emotionally as well. You know, we've all been kind of cooped up, or our lives have sort of been turned upside down these past few weeks, several weeks. I tried to remember this morning how long it's been, and I had to look at a calendar and count and second guess myself. It's been a while. I was reading this morning about how we are all meant to be creative beings, right? And that doesn't mean that we're really good at painting or we're excellent authors or poets. It just means that we're meant to create things. Maybe it's food, or that we're good hosts and we create a really open atmosphere. And a good way to be creative is just by stepping onto our mats and moving really freely. There's no right or wrong way to do so much of this. And that's true always, but I think maybe we feel a little bit more freedom when we're at home looking at a computer screen or whatever the case may be. So let yourself, as we come into these postures, do so however feels best to you, whatever that looks like, whatever that means, including just taking a break, laying down, finding child's pose. So let's start to, on an inhale, lengthen out the body, stretch really long from the fingertips to the toes, taking up as much space as you can, as much length on your mat as you can, or as much as wherever your position will allow you. And then with a big breath out, start to squeeze the knees up toward the chest. And as those knees come inward, you can stay still, or maybe you start to rock from side to side a little bit down on the low back. Maybe the head even lifts up so that we start engaging the core, creating a little bit of heat there in the belly. Good, and let's take both feet down to the ground just momentarily. So positioning there so that we feel really centered and grounded, especially on that left foot as we start to squeeze the right knee up toward the chest. So squeeze the right knee into the chest, or maybe even shift it over slightly to the right shoulder. At the same time, stretch the left leg out flat on your mat. So as that right knee continues to pull inward, the left leg keeps pressing downward. And then let's get into that right hip joint a little bit. So let's take it from side to side, maybe pass it from hand to hand, let it in, pull it out. Just take it in a circular motion, whatever works here. We're just really getting into that hip joint. So as you do that, though, try and keep the rest of the body pretty still and centered. Notice if the whole thing is rocking from side to side, and try to keep really still. And then let's all pull that right knee back up into the chest. At the same time, let's lift the head and hover the left leg off of the ground a little bit. So take a big breath in here. And exhale to switch sides. Hold still while you breathe in. And exhale to switch sides. Again, breathe in. And breathe out as you move. Last one, inhale. Exhale, that right knee should be the one coming back in. Let the left leg go down and lay your head down on the ground. So now let's go ahead and bend that left knee again, just for support and that feeling of groundedness. Again, just like before, we may change our minds, and we'll come into just a half of a happy baby pose. So grabbing hold of the inside edge, big toe with the peace sign fingers, or outside edge of that right foot. We're going to pull the right knee towards the armpit, the right thigh towards the ground, and press the heel up towards the ceiling. Try and sink your left hip into the floor, and right knee can stay bent, or you can stretch it out flat on your mat, or maybe it's somewhere in between. And just pause here. Good. Pull that right knee back into the chest. Left leg will stretch fully out as we twist. Right knee goes over and drops to or toward the floor on your left-hand side. Right arm can extend outward and sink that shoulder down into the ground. And come back up to center. And then once you get there, let's take both feet flat on the floor, just regrouping there, kind of hitting the reset button. And then pull the left knee up into the chest. Good. Maybe this right leg will then extend. As it does, press down through the right thigh and squeeze in through the left knee. Maybe even shift it over a little bit more openness in that hip as it squeezes to the shoulder instead of the chest. And then we'll start to move that left hip joint around. Again, whatever feels good. There's no real right or wrong here. Just try and keep the rest of the body pretty still. And see how that feels as that starts to open up and move. Bring it back into the chest. And then hover the right leg off of the ground as the head lifts up, chin to chest. Take a big breath in. Exhale and switch sides. Breathe in. Exhale, switch. Again, inhale while you're here. Exhale as you move. And then last one, big breath in. And we should land with the left knee in. Right leg will come flat down onto the mat. Head lowers also. Bending through the right knee, getting that support here initially as we come into half happy baby pose on the other side. Grabbing hold of the left foot, however you'd like to, big toe, inside edge or outside edge. And then depending on how this side feels, right leg can start to straighten out, maybe little by little, maybe it goes fully straight, or you can keep it completely bent as well. Just take a few breaths here. And then bring that left knee back in. Right leg will stretch out on the ground. Finally, we'll twist over here on this side. Try and keep the left shoulder pinned to the mat. Head can be centered or turn over top of the left shoulder. And let's return to center here. We'll bring both knees up into the chest. Let's lift the head and we'll start to rock up and down, forward to backward. And eventually go ahead and rock all the way up. And let's make our way right onto all fours or tabletop pose. We'll stack those wrists under the shoulders and the knees under the hips. Let's start to warm up the spine a little bit with just a few cat-cows. Breathing in for cow pose, looking forward, and exhale for cat pose. Just keep moving at your own pace. Noticing how the front of the body and the back of the body feels here. Noticing any tension in the muscles. When we do that, we pay attention to those pieces, not so that we can judge them or really start to get too in-depth as to why they feel that way, but just so that we can keep an eye on everything. We know how we need to move. We know how far we need to go. On your next breath in, come to a neutral spine and then find child's pose. Big toes touch, knees can be together or wide. Now we'll work on the hips a little bit today, so if you'd like to take the knees wide, we'll start getting into that area a bit. And then lower down, however feels good. Maybe forehead to floor, maybe you fold your arms or stack your fists so that your forehead has a little pillow, a little lift, whatever you need. And then let's press back up to tabletop here. So from table, taking the right leg and bringing it straight out to your side. From there, lift up onto that left knee. We'll take gate pose. Left arm will come up and over while the right arm slides down the right leg any amount. And I'll just turn to the side. I'm kind of out of room here. So that as you exhale, left hand comes down to the ground, right hand comes up into the air. Good, and then let's take that motion a couple times. So we'll inhale, lifting up, left arm up and over. And we'll exhale, left hand to the ground, right hand to the sky. Good, we'll do 2 more. Let's do it together. Breathe in. And breathe out. And last one, breathe in. And breathe out. This time stay here. Maybe the right leg hovers off of the ground if that feels okay. That can feel like a lot for that outer thigh. So foot on the floor is always good. Or another option is to take a bind. Bend at the right knee, reach back with the right hand, catch the foot. Good. Bringing us back to center, let's all exhale the right foot down to the ground and the right hand up into the air. We'll inhale, lifting us up and over, and then let's exhale for downward facing dog. Tail to the sky. Take some movement in the legs if you need it. Really walk out any tension that you feel in the calves or the hamstrings or even the upper body, the back, the shoulders, the neck. And then inhale, come forward to plank pose. And let's take a little movement here too. So same thing, let's just exhale, press back, downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward, plank. And just one more time, exhale, down dog. Inhale, let's bend the knees and look toward the hands. Exhale, tippy toe, walk your way up to the top end of your mat. No big rush. Just sink down into a really relaxed forward fold. Knees are as bent or as soft as you need them to be. And take a little time here. Maybe you shift weight forward and backward, balls of the feet to the heels, or even left to right, or take the tail from side to side. On an inhale, find a halfway lift. And exhale, release down. Breathe in, lift all the way up. And exhale, just take hands down to the center of the heart. Go ahead and close down the eyes for a moment. Take just a few deep breaths here like this. Really getting grounded on the feet, coming back to the breath. And then breathe in, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift, inhale. Plant the palms, come back through plank pose and lower all the way down to the belly. So we'll take a low cobra pose here first. Hands close to the sides of the chest. Let's breathe in. Just the heart lifts, the elbows squeeze the ribs, the toes stretch backward. Good. Exhale, relax, forehead to floor. And then back into child's pose. So again, find your version of this posture that feels good. Take just 2 deep breaths here. On your next inhale, come back up to tabletop. And we'll take that gate pose on the other side. So you can stay forward on your mat if you'd like, or turn to the side. Left leg will come straight out, foot position down onto the ground, and we'll come up onto that right knee. Left hand to left leg, right arm up and over. Take this little side bend as well as this hip opener here on the left side. Good. And then we'll bring the right hand down to the ground while the left hand lifts up into the sky. So we'll do that a few times with the breath. So let's inhale ourselves up and we'll exhale, right hand down, left hand lifting. Inhale, lift up, reach over, side bend. Exhale, take that kind of supported side plank. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, come back down. And we'll do one more like that. Breathe and lift. And breathe out, right hand down, left hand up. And again, maybe this time left foot lifts up, or you take that bind. So whatever version you're most comfortable with, right? Or maybe trying something new. And let's all exhale, left foot to the ground, left hand up. We'll inhale our way back up, and then we'll exhale, downward facing dog. So as you find your down dog, again, take a little bit of movement. We'll stick around here for a second. Next breath in, softly bend through both knees and look to the top of your mat to prepare. With your exhale, step, walk, or hop to the top end of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift, open up through the chest a bit. Exhale, forward fold, release. Inhale, lift up overhead. Exhale, let's clasp the hands at the low back. Knuckles point down, palms face each other. Pull the tailbone in, the belly in, lift the chest up. Good. Take a couple breaths like this. Just raising the arms away from the body to a comfortable point. And then exhale, release, chest toward the thighs, knees soften, head releases. And inhale, stand up, sweep up, look up. Exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift, breathe in. Breathe out, step back, bend the elbows. Maybe you come all the way to the belly this time, or halfway chaturanga. Uncurl the toes, lift the chest, low cobra, or up dog this time. And then again, though, let's drop the knees, child's pose. Settle in, not only to the posture, but really notice the body and the breath. And then let's come back up to down dog. And then once you get there, on your inhale, take your right leg up into the air. Press up and out through the right heel. With your exhale, take your right elbow or your right knee all the way to the outside of your right elbow. And then breathe in, take it back, up and away. Exhale, step the right foot to the top end of the mat. Good, let's just sink down into this lunge here for a second, letting the hips drop. Really letting that back leg, the left leg, extend backward as far as it can so that we start to get that stretch through the front side of the left thigh, through the quads and the hip flexors. Keep sinking down, and then let's just take a little twist. Right hand to the sky. Let's drop the right hand behind the back and focus more on pulling this right shoulder up towards the ceiling. And then we're going to take the right hand to the ground for support. As we spin the left foot down, we'll come all the way up and over into reverse warrior. You're going to take the left hand and wrap it behind the back this time. So maybe it's just on the low back. You can kind of wrap around or even grab towards that inner right thigh. Keep that there. As we come into a version of side angle pose, we'll simply just lean forward. Reaching outward through those right fingertips, weight shifting forward onto this right leg. Remember to keep pushing back into that left leg. Inhale, reverse warrior. Exhale, cartwheel the hands down to the ground. Step forward to a fold. Halfway lift, breathe in. And release, breathe out. Inhale, lift all the way up. And take hands to the center of the heart. Let's close down the eyes and take pause. Just notice how the breath is moving, how you're feeling. If you feel like you're releasing tension or creating more, that tells us where to go from here. And then just real simple standing balance posture. Let's shift weight to the left foot. We'll take the right foot into a tree pose. So toes can be down on the ground like a little kickstand. We can come up to the calf, come up to the thigh. So wherever you choose to go out of any of that, just pause here. Your balance should feel challenged, but it should feel doable. That's where you know that you're in the right spot. Now, if wherever you are, you feel like you need more, and maybe that doesn't include lifting the foot up, that's okay. Try closing down the eyes or just softening the gaze. That will challenge the balance even more, or raise the arms up, or take a side bend over toward the right. And then wherever you are, breathe in, both feet down, hands lift up high. Exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift, breathe in. Plant the palms and come back through plank, lower all the way to the belly. So let's come into Sphinx pose. We'll lift up onto the elbows. So elbows are right underneath the shoulders. We're pushing down and pulling backward with the elbows so that the chest lifts up, shoulders draw back. Glutes are engaged at least slightly so that it takes some pressure off of the low back. And see how you feel here. And you can definitely remain just like this. If you would like a little bit more, though, go ahead and bend at the right knee. Reach the right hand back, catch the top of the foot, and pull inward. So you can pull in any amount. However much that right elbow bends, point it up towards the ceiling instead of out towards the right. And then look back forward. Chest moves forward. And release. Come back to Sphinx pose, nice and easy. And then lower all the way down onto the belly. Fold the arms to create kind of a little cushion for your head, either your chin or your forehead. Bend at the knees and windshield wiper the feet from side to side. Slide the palms beneath the shoulders and press up to tabletop pose. Take the knees a little bit wider, though, than you normally would, right? So they're not hugely wide, but just a bit wider than tabletop would be. And raise the right arm up into the air. And thread the needle. Lower down onto your right shoulder, right side of the head. Left hand can stay, or maybe it comes behind the back. Or I always like to stretch forward, gaining a little more length in that left side body. And then slide that left hand beneath the left shoulder. Press the right arm back up into the air, untwisting. And then come back through tabletop into downward facing dog. So once you come into down dog, take a big breath in through the nose. And exhale it through the mouth. Let's do that one more time. Breathe in. And breathe out. Inhale, take that left leg up high, if you have room. Pause here for just another breath, sinking in through the right heel. And then exhale, take the left knee to the outside of the left elbow. Inhale, lift back up and away. And exhale, step the left foot up between the hands, finding this low lunge. So we'll sink in here through the hips, lifting the chest as best you can. And twisting left hand up into the air. Take the left hand behind the back and focus more on swinging the left shoulder up into the sky. Release both hands, come down. Right foot to 90 degrees, up and over, reverse warrior. And then this right hand will come behind the back. Again, maybe reaching towards the inner thigh or just placing the knuckles onto the low back. And a play on side angle pose will shift forward. Continuing to reach through that left arm, push back into the right leg. Inhale, reverse. Exhale, cartwheel the hands to the mat, step forward, take a fold. Halfway lift, breathe in, and let it go. Inhale, reach up. Again, hands to heart center. Let's focus our awareness on the feet getting grounded before we work on balance. Grounded in the breath, and in the body. And shifting weight this time to the right foot. Left foot lifts for tree pose any amount. Down low, up high, whatever works for you. Just avoid the knee. We want to put a decent amount of pressure with the foot into the leg. And our knees don't like to bend side to side so much. So avoid the knee. Other than that, you can go at any height. Maybe try closing down the eyes. Maybe lift the arms up. Maybe you even take a side bend over towards the left side. And then wherever you are, let both feet come down as you raise the arms up. Inhale. Exhale, fold it down. Breathe in and lift halfway. Breathe out. We'll find our way down onto our bellies once again. Back into Sphinx pose here. Forearms down, elbows beneath the shoulders. Pressing down and pulling back with the forearms so that the chest opens up. Glutes engaged, no pressure on the low back. If you feel this through the low back, either engage the glutes more and feel like you're pushing your hip bones down into the ground. Walk the hands out a little further and let the upper body drop a little bit more. Just be more gentle on the back body if you're feeling it there. If you feel like you need more though, go ahead and bend through the left leg. Reach the left hand back and catch the top of that foot. As you pull in, elbow goes up, chest comes back, centered as best you can. And then release back into Sphinx pose. And release all the way down onto the belly. Again, create that little cushion for your head to rest. Bend at the knees and windshield wiper from side to side. Hands below shoulders, press up tabletop. Knees go wider than normal though. We'll spin the left arm up, inhale. Exhale, thread the needle in any position with that right arm once you're settled in. It can certainly stay as it was or stretch forward any amount. Right hand beneath the shoulder. Press back up through the left arm. And then return to tabletop. And let's come into child's pose just one more time here. Maybe this time the arms come back at your sides to help the shoulders. Just release in a different way. So this will open up the upper back a little bit more. Come up again to tabletop, and we're going to come into frog pose today. So I'm on carpet. I don't really need to double up my mat so much. But if you feel like you need a little bit more cushion underneath the knees, and this is one of those poses that a lot of times we do, you can grab a blanket to take on top of your mat, or just fold up your mat a couple times so that it's thicker, it's more cushiony. And then we'll begin, and it's best to, unless again you're on carpet, to turn towards the long side of your mat and come into tabletop there. From here, take the knees out as wide as you can comfortably. So it shouldn't feel like a ton of effort here, at least so far. And then we want the feet out just as wide as the knees. So a lot of times, and there's a couple different versions of this pose, so it's not really wrong to take the feet in closer together. I like to take them out just so that they're straight back behind the knees, feet are flexed, toes pointed outward, puts the knees in pretty good alignment. So you can stay where you are up onto the hands. Try, though, if you can, to get a little bit more relaxed and come down to the elbows, even if that means you bring the knees in closer together, then that's okay. Maybe you even rest down towards the chest or the forehead. Wherever you're at, though, find a space where you can definitely feel this. You probably don't want to go any farther into it or any deeper into the posture, but it's not a challenge to breathe where you are. You can still find a smoothness to the breath. You're not holding or gripping or clenching. And it's hard to find that perfect balance between all of that, and it doesn't always happen. That's just what we're aiming for here. And then whenever you find that space or as close to it as you can, close down the eyes. And focus your awareness completely on the breath. Follow the inhales and trace the exhales back out. And take another 2 really slow, long, deep breaths. Depending how far into this pose you are, you can either get out of it by just falling down onto your belly and letting the legs stretch back, or if you feel okay to do so, you can kind of inch the knees back toward each other. Once you get there, though, go ahead and just take a couple cat-cows, or just let the hips kind of move freely. That pose sometimes feels like a lot. And then come down onto your back. Once we make it all the way down, let's find a spot where the knees can be bent, heels placed right underneath the knees. So we're nicely set up for bridge pose. Arms at the sides, shoulders pressed down while we inhale the hips up into the air. We can rock the shoulder blades a little closer together if that feels okay. Maybe clasp the hands. We're just going to take one back bend here. So if wheel is part of your practice and you'd like to go there, this is a nice opportunity for that. And then slowly come back down to the ground. And bring the knees up into the chest. And let's come into happy baby here. We came into just half happy baby at the beginning of practice. So let's find the full expression of this posture here. And again, hands can grip the feet as you would like. Thighs and knees press down while the heels press upward. Low back flattens as best you can. And here you can stay still or rock a little side to side down on the low back. And release the feet and bring the knees up into the chest. And then let's let the knees drop over to the right side for a twist. Left shoulder presses down, maybe the left arm extends. Same thing with the right. It can rest on the outer left thigh or it can stretch out as well. Bring the knees back into the chest. And let's exhale as we drop them slowly over to the left side. Right shoulder sinking. Head can always stay centered in twists, or we can turn in the opposite direction. So with the knees going left, the head can turn right. And bring the knees back into the chest again. And take the feet down onto the floor. So last pose we'll come into here together is legs up the wall. So a few options as to how to come into that. I'll demonstrate actually using the wall, although this one's not really ideal. We'll do our best. You can, if you don't have easy access to a wall wherever you're at, take the feet just simply straight up into the air. You can kind of wrap your arms around the legs tight enough that they sort of balance each other. The arms aren't struggling and the legs can let go a bit. Even better and more supported than that, if you have the option, is to take a yoga block or even a little stack of books or something like that and place it underneath the sacrum, and then do the same thing from there. That'll support the low back so that your lift doesn't feel like a lot of work. And that's the goal here, is we don't want this pose to feel like we're working very hard at all. And then lastly, if you want to use the wall with me, again, I won't be able to fully demonstrate it with all these rocks in here, but I'll do my best. So depending on what direction you're facing, you want the hip closest to the wall to come all the way up into the wall. So you want to physically be touching the wall. And then from there, you can lean backwards onto the elbows and swing the legs up the wall. So with starting off that close to the wall, you should still be touching the wall here. Your sitting bones should be all the way up against the wall. And if they're not, you can just adjust. And if you're a little further away, that's no big deal as long as you're comfortable and feel supported. Here you can let the knees soften a little bit so that the legs aren't working to press into the wall. The heels are resting and the knees can just let go. Couple good options for the arms are out at the sides, palms facing the ceiling. You can bring one hand to the chest and one hand to the belly and really feel the breath move. Wherever you are, though, go ahead and close down the eyes. Try and let the legs just completely release so they don't feel like they're working or struggling at all. And with that, notice any sensations in the legs. Sometimes the feet get a little cold with the circulation changing direction here, or the legs even feel a little tingly. This posture is great for our circulation and for the nervous system. It's often recommended for insomnia or just trouble sleeping, right? Because it's so calming in nature and so gentle. If you feel comfortable enough, especially if you are up against a wall, to stay here for Shavasana, you can certainly do that. If not, though, come down and find a comfortable position down on your back, however you'd like to rest for the next few minutes. I'll actually leave you for Shavasana today so that you're able to stay there for as long as you'd like. You can stay for just a minute or two or take a quick 10-minute nap or break from your day. So thank you all for joining me for our yoga practice today. Namaste.